All right. We are live. What's going on, people? How is everyone doing? Let me turn this fan speed down so this is not so loud. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. All right. Yeah, today I'm definitely late. I was having camera issues right now, so the camera was acting up. So it was on, then it was off, then I got bars. I was like, the camera was not working. Welcome to the show today. So this has been one of the most requested live streams I've had in a while. Everyone has been talking about why did Amber Heard win the UK lawsuit? And I got to stop with that, number one. She didn't win the UK lawsuit. She was a witness in the UK lawsuit. So I put win the UK lawsuit in the title because people are saying, hey, she won. She won. She did not win anything. She didn't win the lawsuit. So, hopefully people understand she didn't win. But we do have a lot to get into. So what I've done is that I've read through how many pages was this thing? Let me just look to get 129 pages. So you guys didn't have to. And I've taken out all the relevant parts what I believe where this judge just went left, where this judge just said, you know what, I'm just going to believe the lies. And no matter what happens on the other end, we are, so what, right? So what? I don't care. I just want to believe whatever Amber Heard says. And you're going to see the contrast between that trial and the UK trial. So I wanted to do it in this manner, just so we can all break it down, so there's no more confusion about it. Let me add these slides to this presentation so you can see. So these slides are a little rough. Why? Because I was doing them today, but I wanted to make sure I just at least got as much information at them as possible and not just make this too crazy for you. So here it is. Let me put these slides up. All right, we're going to the beginning. So first, let me do this. Let's start with why this UK trial thing is important. See, everyone has been using this UK trial as this type of seem essentially making it seem like Amber Heard really won and the UK trial is the kids. Now, so here's some of the talking points. Let's start with CNN. So here's CNN explaining to you why we should believe Amber Heard and Amber Heard should have won. And they're going to specifically cite the UK trial. Listen to this. Let me put this up. Here we go. This is CNN telling us why the UK trial is the real trial that we should be listening to. Check it out.
I think the jury got it wrong, Jake. I'm very disappointed in the jury verdict. I think this is another big win for powerful men, and it's a colossal loss for women. When you think about the allegations that were made in the UK case that involved defamation against a tabloid, the judge in that case found the allegations of Amber Heard to be credible, found that Johnny Depp did abuse Amber Heard. This jury, on the other hand, basically rejected the mountain of evidence that showed that Amber Heard, in fact, had been abused by Johnny Depp.
So we see the obvious talking point, right? The obvious talking point here. There was a mountain of evidence. The jury here didn't believe Amber because they're too stupid and dumb. And this judge in the UK was the good guy, right? He was the one that we believed. We was the one we should believe. There was a mountain of evidence, right? She's a mountain of evidence, right? Now that was the talking point, and that's the talking point from the mainstream media. Remember, again, that's CNN, right? You guys don't believe me? Here is Elaine Bredenhoff, right? This is her going on CBS, spouting off the same. It's so crazy when you're able to see them spout off these talking points. Here again, CBS, same talking point, right? The UK trial. Here it is.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK.
And the
Mr.
UK.
Depp brought that one. The burden of proof was on the Sun in the UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then. And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence.
So you see again, right? Elaine's on CBS. The UK trial, like the UK trial. We won in the UK. She wasn't even. She was not even a party to the case. the UK trial against. We've been hearing this, right? All after the trial. And just so we're thorough, we got CNN, I got NBC, I got the Canadian broad. They're all saying the same thing, right? So I can play clips of them all day. So I just picked out a couple. Let's just get the master, Amber Heard, right? What is she going to say about the UK trial? Let's hear her explain to us why the UK trial was the real trial. Here we go. Here's Amber herself explaining it to us. Oops. Come on, kill that. There we go. Boop.
There was another trial handled it with the same, dealt with the same substantive issues that had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out. Really important pieces of evidence kept out. Done differently, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Some evidence is admissible in a UK.
So again, we see the talking point, right? UK. We won. I won. The son won. Johnny lost. We won, right? Everybody screaming the UK. All the mountain of evidence. They didn't put the evidence into this trial. That's why I lost. But all the evidence came into the UK trial, right? So this is the talking point, right? This is the talking point. This is what they're selling to us. And they think we're going to buy it. Now, for most of you people here who watch these streams have watched the Johnny Depp trial. So we all know this is all BS. But it's good to understand the talking point. Now, the scary part about this, for me personally, is that the news media is wholesale pushing this same narrative to us, right? ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, they're all pushing that same narrative. I can play clips from even the Canadian broadcasters. I got clips from the BBC, right? The mainstream news media has been pushing this narrative of the UK trial being the correct trial and the American trial being the poor trial, and that all the evidence was in the UK trial. So, and thank you for those who did reach out to me on Twitter. They said, well, listen, can you just go over how the UK trial went and what the differences were between the UK trial and the American trial, and so we can at least understand what the hell happened. So I've done that. Let me pull up these slides. So this is the UK judge. His name is Nichols, Justice Nichols. And this is the person who came to the judgment in the UK trial. Now, this person is now retired. There were some issues with this judge also being also having some issues when it came to some people from the Sun, and they were like, there's some background issues here. And the UK has this crazy corruption issues that they're going through. But this is the UK judge that made this judgment, that came to the judgment. Now, in the UK, it's judges who figure out, who's telling the truth and all this stuff. And in this judge's opinion, this judge went through painstaking details to explain to us, what evidence he didn't consider, what he did consider, why he considered, and so forth. So let's look at it, right? And let's see now, with the facts that we know are true, if this judge's reasoning makes sense. Rottenborn not touching this post-trial reaction, not even with a 10-foot pole. I think Rottenborn is the best lawyer out of the whole bunch, though. So you're right; he's not touching. He Rottenborn's like, yo, forget about this. This is not going to happen to me. But Rottenborn, I think Rottenborn's their best attorney. All right, so let's start here. Let's start with the first thing we're going to talk about is what this judge said about Amber Heard admissions. Now, when I talk about admissions, we're talking about the things that she was saying like this. So here are the admissions that Amber Heard made and we're going to hear about. First, I'm going to let you hear the tapes. I'm going to just pull them up so you guys can hear them. And then after we hear them, we're going to hear about what the judge said about them. Where's this one? Let me stop this one. So I'm pulling them up, and then we're going to hear exactly what this judge said about what you're about to hear, because he made it very clear. He heard these tapes, and I'm going to tell you exactly what he says about hearing these admissions. So let me go back and let me remove this for a second. And here is the first audio recording. Again, this is in the judgment. So if you guys want to read the judgment, this is in the judgment. So this is the first audio clip of some of Amber Heard's admissions to abuse. So this is the first one the judge did cite. Here it is. This is the Johnny Tell the World. So this is the first admission that the judge looked, one of the first ones he looked at. Tell people it's a fair fight. I'm gonna put this on the stream. Here we go.
What kind of mineral spirits thrown at my nose?
You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
Yes.
it's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
Pretty clear, right? Go tell the jury. Go tell the world, Johnny. See how many people side with you. Tell them it was a fair fight. Tell them, right? Tell them. That's what she said, right? Admission number one. You say, makes you say, right? So what about the next one? Okay, so we got that one, right? But the judge said, well, hold on. We also had this other one that the judge had to look at. And this judge also, he puts it in this ruling. Hey, there's another one I want to talk about. Let me pull this one up. So that was the first one. Here's the second one. This judge said, and he literally writes this out in the opinion. I'll show you. I'll actually show you in the opinion. But here's the second one. This judge references. So we had the first one. Tell the world, Johnny. Now we have the second one. Here is the Amber Heard admissions.
And I watched you lie, and then
I didn't punch you.
and
By
then
the way, I'm sorry that I didn't hit
punched
you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you, babe. You're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You've been a lot of fights, been around a long time. I know. Yeah,
No, when you fucking have a closed
you didn't
fist.
get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you.
You can't
I don't know
deck
what
me.
the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are your toes?
What am I supposed to do? Do this?
How are your
I'm not
toes?
sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are.
Oh,
That's the difference
your
between
poor
me and
toes.
you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you start
You
physical
are
fights?
such a baby.
Because
Grow
you-
the fuck up,
Because you start
Johnny.
physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did. So I had to get the
Because-
fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
Admirable.
Every single time. What's your excuse when there's not a physical fight? Then what's the excuse there?
Why does he leave?
You're still being admirable, right? Just by running away.
So she's upset that he runs away, right? When she starts getting physical. The judge heard all this. And just so you guys don't think I'm making this up, right? That the judge heard all this. The judge points to it in the opinion. The judge points to these statements in the opinion. And this is what the judge says about them. Let me put this back to the street. This is what the judge says about them. So the judge says, I think I have the links next. The judge says this. In my view, this is line 175 in the ruling. In my view, no great weight is to be put on these alleged admissions by Ms. Heard to aggressive and violent behavior. It goes on. It is trite to say, but nonetheless true, that these conversations are quite different to evidence in court. A witness giving evidence in court does so under oath or affirmation to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Questioning can be controlled by the judge. Questions which are unclear can be rephrased. If a question is not answered, it can be pressed, subject to the court's control. And if still unanswered, may be proper object of comment. None of these features applied to these conversations, which in any event, according to Ms. Heard, had the purpose or purposes different from simply conveying truthful information. So all of those conversations where she says, I hit him, I punched him, I started physical fights, I did all this. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell him you're an abuse victim. Judge says, I give it no weight. So what? Disregarded them all. Disregarded them all. Now, the jury in an American case was like, hold on. You're saying all this stuff on tape. We can't disregard that. That goes to your credibility, right? Why would you say that if it's not true? Here, this judge says, I totally disregarded it because it wasn't said under oath, and even though it's bad, I believe Ms. Heard. Crazy, right? Crazy. I don't think I think people, if you read this, now knowing what you know, it's like, really? Really? You just disregarded all of this, right? Disregard. Forget about it. So, this judge, all the lies that Amber Heard told, forget about it. Who really cares? I'm not putting any great weight on this, right? Crazy, right? But an American jury did. That is the difference. That's the difference here. So now we go to Heard's proven lies. So this judge had the problem because Amber Heard has a lot of proven lies, right? There's a lot of lies out there that she's been telling that's been proven to be lies. But how can this judge still find her credible if he knows that she's been lying all over the place, right? You had those tapes of her saying, yeah, I beat him up, right? So he says, well, those we can just disregard because, we don't, it may not be true. I just can't put any great weight on them, right? She's saying something different now, so I'll believe what she's saying now, under oath, right? Second is, okay, well, what about the times we've proven that she lied? So let's see what the judge says about these proven lies. So first, let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. This is the first. This is the claimant's challenge to credibility of Ms. Heard, independent of a particular abuse allegation. Alleged lie to the Department of Homeland Security regarding the status of Savannah Mullen. Now, for those of you who don't know what happened, essentially, in a nutshell, Amber Heard had said that this woman, Savannah, did not work for her and never worked for her, right? And she wrote a letter to the Department of Homeland Security. But they had proof that this was not true. They had one witness who said, no, she actually did work for her and she actually paid her. Here are the checks, right? So we have two pieces of evidence that I'm going to show you where Amber Heard in the UK, she said, hey, this person never worked for me. And they said, no, well, she paid her. And we have her assistant who said, yeah, no, she was working for her. She was working. Yeah, she was working. Right? So let's break this down. Let me show you. Let's read this out. Here it is. Here it is. On the 28th of September, 2014, a letter written to the Department of Homeland Security in the terms, my name is Amber Heard. I'm a proud, lawful American citizen. Writing this letter in response to a fraudulent report made against my English friend, Savannah McMillan, right? Now, they were saying that she was not working. She wasn't working for Amber. So Amber's statement, essentially, when you read through this, it says that she was a personal friend and never worked for her, right? And she was writing this to make it very clear to the authorities, this person doesn't work for me, right? This person was just a friend. And she signs it, severely Amber Heard, right? And just saying, this is fraudulent for somebody to even think that. But now, this is her assistant. Now, her assistant testified in the American trial against Amber. And she also wrote statements here against Amber in this court case. And she says Kate James had been, that's what her name is, Kate James had been her assistant in the U.S. Miss James' witness statement said that the letter Miss Amber Heard falsely claimed that Savannah was just a friend and not an employee. I am afraid that I did not find that Miss James was a satisfactory witness. So the UK judge, so Amber Heard's assistant says, no, she's lying. She was working for us. And on top of that, she goes and testifies. This is obviously a lie. And he says, I'm afraid I did not find Miss James a satisfactory witness. Why? Why didn't he find Miss James a satisfactory witness? She had been dismissed by Miss Heard in February 2015, and the circumstances of her termination still appear to be cause for rancor with Miss James. So she's saying because Miss James was let go, that now Miss James is coming to court and lying, and that he can't trust her, right? But Miss James also provided some backup for her claims. Like, yo, she was working for, but you ain't got to believe me. What did she provide? Let me rule on. She did exhibit to her witness statement a check for $16.25 made out to Savannah. Right? So she's paying her. Here's some she's got checks. She's making payments to her. Come on. She was an employee. So let's stop this BS. Right? Let's stop it. Don't believe me. Here's the checks. So how did this judge get around the fact that now you got a live witness who says she lied, she's an employee, and got checks to back it up? How the hell do you get around this? Tell me. How the hell do you get around this? Well, let's see what Amber says about it. Amber then, she says, here it is. Here's what Amber says. She says, since Savannah didn't have enough money, I occasionally gave her money. I would sometimes refer to the money I gave Savannah as payments. To minimize the discomfort and embarrassment of Savannah receiving money from me. So now we got another piece of evidence. Amber's calling them payments. All of them checks, payments, right? Amber's calling them payments on the checks. She's like, I'm paying them. But they're not really payments. This shit is insane. So now the payments that we're calling payments that are not payments. So we're there. To minimize discomfort. The payments were partly to cover expenses for both of us, like shopping and errands. So in the American trial, it was Amber versus all these witnesses who said she was lying. But the judge seemingly dismissed all that. And oops, I think I missed one slide. Let me see if I made it put in another place. I missed the slide. You know what? But I think it's so important that I'm going to go back to it. It's 112. So I got to show you guys this. In this statement, Amber Heard's this statement that Amber Heard made. I got to show you guys this. This is great. It's crazy. I left it out of the slide, but we're going to go to the actual court document, and I'm going to show it to you because I think it's so important. It's 112. There it is. 112. Here it is. So this is it. Now she puts here. Let me make sure you guys can see this. It's all right. Remove that. Add this. I want to make sure you guys can see this. This is crazy. It was actually there too, so it's here at the bottom. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's right there. So it says in her statement, it says the last sentence here. I can't highlight it because it's on this. But anyway, it says the payments were partially to cover expenses for the both of us, like shopping and errands. But I want to make the point here. This is not about one payment. So if this was one payment, right? If she just made one payment of $1,600, you can say, okay, it's just one payment. But Amber is telling you in her own statement, trying to refute this, she doesn't say it's a payment. She says payments. So she made multiple payments to this woman as her employee and says, guess what? I said they were payments. I said I was paying her. But she's not an employee, and that was just to not even reimburse her, to pay for stuff to further do. That's what the judge said. And remember, the judge says, I don't even believe Miss James because she was let go. So Miss James is lying, even though she provided proof that the woman was being paid on the books with checks. I don't believe none of that. I believe Amber. Is there anybody in this chat from the UK? Because this is really insane. This is really insane. Is there anybody in the chat from the UK? Is this the way it goes for the UK? Secret Girl's putting a petition up. Is there anybody in this chat from the UK? Because this is insane. This is insane. And we're just halfway through this thing. We're not even here. This is crazy. Am I losing my mind? Am I alone in this and trying to understand this thing? Because this is real. This just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I'm here from the UK. I'm sorry for you. These are the type of judges you got. It's just like this guy's doing bending over backwards. Let me take care of some of these super chats that came in. being that, oh, this is Art Norman Jr., author. All right, Art, hitting us with the Amazon. I love it. I love it. Being that Amber Heard gets an appeal, where would it be? It's going to be here in the United States. Hollywood, the ebook, Yorkshire Publishing, Pure Survival, available at Amazon. You know it. You pay that $5. I'm going to give you a shout out. Thank you. And thanks for being a supporter. This guy's great. And definitely check out that book. T in Tennessee. T, nice to see you. Question, I'm confused about something. Did she win? No, she did not win. Or was it the Sun? The Sun did win. And had enough of a source to publish the article. Yes. So it's the Sun that won. They had enough of a source to publish the article. Exactly. Not that it was a necessary fact. You're 100% right. That's exactly what happened. But they're trying to spin it as she won the case and she was a party to the case, but she was not. She was not a party to the case. She did not win the case. It was the Sun. It was the Sun. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the super chats. I really appreciate it. All right. So we're deep diving into this madness. Thank you guys for being on this journey. Here we go again with some more of the madness. Because we're at the halfway mark. We're halfway through this madness. So here we go. Let me put this back up on screen so we can see more of this. All right. So now we're at the next piece. Right. So the judge. So now we've already did the judge. All the tapes of Amber Heard saying she's the abuser, she beats him, she goes, disregard that. The evidence of her lying, disregard that. The evidence of Kate James, who bought receipts, we're going to disregard that. We still believe Amber with all that. But we still have more to go, right? We still got more lies. A conviction, right? So this is a person he's finding credible. So now they said, well, listen, Amber Heard's got a conviction for essentially, it says conviction in Australia for knowingly making false declarations regarding the imputation. So this is essentially is Amber Heard was convicted, pleaded guilty to lying to officials in Australia. And what was this about? Well, it says, let me make sure make sure I have the right one here. All right, so this is why she was convicted. Now, a lot of people haven't seen this, but this is the reason why she was convicted. Let me read this. 118. The plane met in Brisbane Airport by Corby. I hope I'm saying that right, Brisbane. I even know I like that name. Brisbane Airport by quarantine and customs officer. Miss Heard completed an incoming passenger card, which included the question, are you bringing into Australia animals, parts of animals, etc.? So if you bring animals, parts of animals, etc. Miss Heard answered this question, no. That answer was false since Miss Heard was accompanied by Pistol and Boo, the two dogs. She knew it was false since she knew that she was accompanied by the dogs. So this judge, right? This judge knew she had a history of making false statements and pleaded guilty to making false statements to authorities. Right? Do you think this judge is going to disregard this, right? A conviction for making false statements? Do you think it's just going to say, well, we're gonna overlook that? We got this other stuff, right? She's got this employee that she says is not an employee, but she's paying, right? Even though she's calling them payments, and she's explained that away. She's got these, she's on tape saying that she's beating the guy up, and we got all this, right? So are we going to believe anything she's going to say? What about this? Well, let's see how the court resolves this one. Right. First, he says, well, I think it's Colligan, dealt with the offense by finding, and that's the Australian official, it was sufficient to require Miss Heard to enter a recognizance supported by a security of $1,000 to be of good behavior for 1 month. The offense with which Miss Heard pleaded guilty involved knowingly making a false statement. As Miss Heard said, it was not, that was, as Miss Colligan said, that was not a trivial offense, but the nature is so far removed from the evidence which Miss Heard gave in this trial that its relevance to her credibility is marginal at most. So it doesn't affect the credibility. The fact that she's lying to authorities, it doesn't affect her credibility at all. It doesn't affect it. She's all right. It doesn't affect her credibility, right? Who cares? She's a convicted liar. Who cares? right? So on the tape, she's lying. So essentially, and really think about how sick this judge's rulings are, right? On the tape where she's admitting she's beating a guy up, well, she's lying on the tape. Why? Because we believe she's lying on the tape, but she's telling the truth now under oath. Well, they said, well, hold on. She's been lying. She's been lying under oath all this time. Here's some example of her lying under oath. Well, it's so trivial, we don't care. Well, what about the fact that she lied when she sent this letter and said that this wasn't an employee? Here's the check. She was paying the woman. Who cares, right? The judge is literally just taking all of her lies, wrapping up in a bow, and sending them out the other way and saying, we don't care. I do not care. I do not care about her lies. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just believe her. I believe Amber Heard. Crazy, right? Insane. And then they are putting this out there like the UK trial was some type of credibility test where we can believe. Like, I don't trust this UK trial. This makes no sense. And again, we're not fully through this thing. Since I started following your channel, my faith in the mainstream media has been totally destroyed. Thanks. I'm embarrassed. It has taken so long to open my eyes. We're not even through this. This is still even more crazy. We haven't even gotten through this. Nate, you are a sane man in an insane world. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats, guys. This ruling I'm talking about when you just look through it. And I'm thinking that's exactly when you write 128 pages, right? Because you're like, who's going to read this guy? Only an idiot like me, right? I go and I read through the crap. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. When you compare it to everything that's going on, it just doesn't make any sense. And we still got more. We still have more to go. We still got more to go. We're not even finished with it. Next one, right? Next one. Here we go. We got another one coming. Let me get this next one. So now, this next thing. The allegations that Ms. Heard sought to procure false evidence by Kevin Murphy and Kate James, the one that he doesn't like already. Kate James, the one that he doesn't like already. For the purpose of criminal proceedings in Australia. So now the judge has evidence. We're going to show you evidence that not only did she lie under oath and was convicted, not only that she lied when she said that this woman wasn't working for her, that she also said that she beats up Johnny. Now we got evidence that she's trying to get other people to lie, right? But again, people are saying that, but what evidence do you have that this actually happened, right? What evidence do we have? So let's read through this. So essentially, there are two people. There was Kate James and Kevin Murphy. And these are some of the receipts that they were dropping to show that Mr. Murphy that Amber Heard had lied and was trying to get Murphy and Kate James to lie for her in the Australian court. And they dropped receipts, and those receipts came in the form of emails. So here's one of them. On the 9th of October, 2015, Ms. Heard wrote to Cole Martin and Mark Singer in the course in which she said, now, just to put some context to this statement, Amber never went through the procedures to get the dogs done. So this is what she's going to talk about because she's trying to manufacture evidence so she doesn't get in trouble in Australia. So this is what she writes. The only thing we are missing is evidence of the process being initiated, however, not completed, right? And therefore, the dogs weren't taken on the trip. So we got to have evidence that we were doing all this, but it just is like some mix-up. That is obviously, again, this is Amber saying this, that is obviously harder to prove since it involves documenting something that, and I like the judge even put it, didn't happen, right? She's asking for evidence of something that she knows didn't happen. We got to prove this, and we're only missing that piece of evidence, but we need something that didn't happen, right? However, since I know we're attempting to bring them bring them at least once before the Australia trip, I can ask Kate to include in her statement if that would be helpful. So she's going to ask Kate to lie and say we did the process If that would be helpful, that's what she's asking her authorities, right? If that would be helpful, I can get this woman a law force. Yay! Then on that same day, a couple of days on that same day, Mr. Singer wrote an email, and this is what he wrote back to her. I don't know what your relationship with her, the woman that she supposedly fired, the woman that she was so in problems with that the judge says, I can't believe what this woman's saying. This is the same woman she's asking a lot. Kate James is at the same time, is at this time since you fired her. You have to be careful, right? That she will cooperate and will not go public if you ask her not to be truthful, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're asking her not to be truthful. So you got to be careful because you fired her. She might be a little iffy about that. And now if you fire her and she goes public like, yo, she's trying to ask you to lie, you're in trouble. Heard responded the same day. Marty, I'm waiting to hear back from you before I reach out to Kevin to liaison with Kate. Right? What does that sound like? That sounds like we're trying to manufacture some evidence to get my ass out of trouble. Right? That's what's going on here. But again, the judge in the UK trial, what does he say about this? What does he say about this evidence? Right? Matter of fact, before we even go to that, I'm going to let me take you to the Twitter so you can see how now, even in Australia, right now, the Australian authorities are, I'm going to give you guys this, how the Australian authorities have read this transcript of this trial and now are charging Amber with that same issue. Let me pull this up. And this, I think most of you guys have seen this already, but I'm going to play this again so you guys can see it. So this part, so we're at the part of this trial where this is now relevant, because now this is why she's being charged now for these issues. So let me put this up here on screen so you guys can see it, and let me play it.
There was a question this morning in relation to Amber Heard. I can confirm the department is investigating that matter. So there was evidence presented in the London court case which suggested false statements were provided in the court case in Australia in 2016. So we are investigating that.
So what's the timeline you expect that investigation and decision made about?
As I understand it, the former state manager of Johnny Depp, Kevin Murphy, said in the witness statement that he told Heard, quote, by email, telephone and in person, that she could not take the dogs to Australia because the relevant paperwork and permits were not complete and the required 10-day quarantine arrangements had not been put in place. Murphy continued, Miss Heard later told the court in Australia that I had told her it was fine to bring the dogs into Australia. That is false. I never told her this.
Yes, so Senator, we understand that to be the case, or the evidence provided in the London court case, and giving a false testimony is an offence under the Crimes Act. So that is what we are now investigating.
So there we go. Right? Told Kevin Murphy, go ahead and lie. Got caught. Australia's like, we got to check this out. But we're talking about, so what did the UK judge think about all this, right? What did the UK judge about this? This is what he said. Accordingly, this is what the UK judge says. Accordingly, I do not consider the allegations regarding either Miss James, Mr. James, right? Or, I'm sorry, Miss James. I see Mr. James. Miss James or Mr. Murphy impugned. I'm thinking that's impugned on the credibility of Ms. Heard. So accordingly, I do not consider that the allegations regarding either Miss James or Mr. Murphy impugn on the credibility of Ms. Heard. So just so we are clear, the fact that they got receipts that she's lying, they got receipts that she's asking them to lie, they got receipts that she asked Mr. Murphy to lie, they got receipts that she's lying everywhere. He says that it didn't impugn her credibility at all, right? It doesn't. It's all good. It's all good, right? Now, all of this stuff in the American trial, the jurors are like, "Yo, this definitely hurts her credibility," right? Yeah, I can't. It says I can't read. Yeah, I couldn't read this. But it definitely impugns her credibility. It definitely impugns her credibility. And I think this is impinge, but I said impugn. But whatever. This definitely is a knock on her credibility. But again, this judge, so what? So what? You got to admit this is frustrating, right, people? She's saying, so what? So what? So what? The judge, so what? She lied. So what? She's telling people, so what? I believe Miss Heard. And now you would say, okay. You've just said all this other stuff, right? You said all this other stuff. Was it doesn't hurt her credibility. I believe what she's saying was true. I believe what she's saying is true. And I believe everyone else who's saying anything different is lying. Matter of fact, look at this next slide. This is what Ms. Heard says in response to all this, right? In her fifth witness statement on the 26th of June, 2020, Ms. Heard says, and this is there are I think 6 or 7 sections. I just pulled out the 2 relevant ones. Ms. Heard pleaded guilty to the charge of knowingly making a false declaration. Court said, okay, it's there, right? That's what she did. And then the court also says, Ms. Heard, also says, it is not true that she asked Kate James or Kevin Murphy to lie for it. Forget it, even though it's an email and all that stuff. You can just disregard that. In any event, it would make no sense because her plea of guilty, right? It was untrue that she threatened Mr. Murphy with the loss of his job, which he had an email for, if he did not make false statements in the Australian proceeding, right? So Heard just says they're lying. I'm telling the truth. And based on my good record, right? Based on all the stuff you've already heard, my good name, the fact that I'm a truthful person, even though, I lied to you, said she wasn't my employee, even though I'm lying to you about all this other stuff, even though I'm lying to you about, even though all that other stuff, you've disregarded it all. Trust me. And who do you think the judge trusted? The judge trusted Amber. The judge trusted Amber. Crazy, right? Crazy. It's here in black and white. Thinek says, do you consider that the judge was married to a woman that had relation with AH? Tug was saying something among those lines of like a month ago. I'm not sure, but I have heard something. I've heard some issues with this judge. Thanks for the $5 super sticker in Moss. I have heard some rumblings, but I haven't looked into those corruption aspects of it yet. My 2 cents: a jury is always superior because judges are more susceptible to political and social influences. That's true. That's so much true. This judge is in the middle of the Me Too movement and was asked to call a woman a liar when claiming abuse. Yes. Yeah. That's a great take, Rubia. That's a great take. I definitely agree. I heard the judge's son works for the Sun. I heard that too, but I can't verify. I haven't verified that. And check the judge's bank statements. You guys are cold. But yeah. So we're at this point now where the judge has just essentially everything that hurts Amber Heard's credibility. The judge said, I'm dismissing it. Evidence, be damned. Witnesses, be damned. Emails, be damned. The fact that she's on tape saying these things, who cares? I believe Amber Heard. Give me a like if you think this judge is crazy. Because with all of this in front of me, and you're telling me to believe this woman? I'm like, she's got to bring some serious receipts. Because everything that you've showed me, matter of fact, shows me I can't believe her. I can't believe her without something. And matter of fact, it's not only that I can't believe her, I'm believing her over other people. I'm believing her over everybody else, right? And these people are bringing receipts. And I believe her lies over the receipts. And we haven't even gone to the donations piece of it yet. So now, the judge has disregarded all this other stuff. How's he going to handle the donation, right? How's he going to handle the donations? But this is where I think the big difference in the 2 trials comes to. right? This is what the big difference in the two trials come to. See, in the U.S., the Depp team was able to get all that information whether she paid or not. In the UK, because she was a witness and not a party, they weren't able to get that information whether she paid or not. It's not like they could subpoena, her records. They can't subpoena all these other people to prepare documents. They're in the UK, so it's going to be a lot harder for them to get those records from these organizations. Where here in Virginia, you can subpoena them because she's a party to the lawsuit. So that was cover for Amber. So let's the donations. Let me do this. Let me pull up what Amber Heard said on the stand about these donations, because I think it's important. Let me share my screen. So, because I want you guys to hear. Again, this is her on cross-examination with our girl Camille Vasquez about the donations. Here we go. It's going to be short and sweet. Donations.
Here today, you have not donated the $7 million donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
But I don't. Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
Nope. I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something, didn't you?
I didn't want anything and I didn't get anything.
You wanted Mr. Depp's money.
Didn't get it, wasn't interested
in it. Got $7 million.
I left Johnny, that's why I was with him.
You wanted praise for donating the money, right?
That's incorrect.
You wanted good press.
In general, one does want good.
So we don't have to see the whole clown show again, but we understand what happened, right? We understand what happened. All right, she just straight up lied. She didn't give any of the money. She kept all the money. She told everybody she gave the money away. And I gave the money. The money is gone. The money is gone, right? But now I want to bring you to something else. Now, this donated versus not donated part of it. One of the jury in the American case, remember, all the lies and stuff they took, they were like, yo, she's lying about this. They bring receipts. She's a liar. We can't trust her. And part of that mountain of lies was this donation piece. So here's what one of the jurors, right, when they came out and spoke, this is what they said influenced them about her donating the money. Let's play that.
The juror said the revelation Heard had not donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity was a fiasco for her.
You still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety. I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
She goes on a talk show in the UK. The video shows her sitting there telling the host that she gave all that money away. And the terms she used in that video clip were, I gave it away. I donated it. It's gone. But the fact is, she didn't give much of it away at all. He also disputed Heard's attorney's claim.
So just to be clear, in assessing Amber Heard's credibility, the jury in the U.S. took all the stuff that the judge in the UK said, I'm not even going to consider that, and said, no, that's relevant here. It's relevant that she was going with $7 million, saying I gave away $7 million and kept it, right? She wasn't sued at that time. She kept it for over a year and then said, well, I couldn't use it because I was sued. No, you were sued a year later, right? They took the fact that she lied under oath. They took all these facts and said, well, this is crazy. This is crazy. And we can't believe what she's saying because we believe the evidence, right? So the UK judge essentially said, I don't believe anything anybody else is saying except what Amber Heard is saying. And all the evidence with it is irrelevant because she said this happened to her. So what did this judge say about this $7 million, right? What did he say about the $7 million? Well, here we go. Let me show you what he says about the $7 million. A recurring theme in Mr. Depp's evidence was that Miss Heard had constructed a hoax and that she had done this as an insurance policy, presumably in the event that the marriage broke down. Mr. Sherborne commented in his closing argument that Miss Heard had said that she recorded some of her conversation with Mr. Depp to show him that what he was capable of doing when the monster prevailed. And yet many of these were never played to or shown to Mr. Depp. So she had those recordings that she said she had that they never saw. She was, according to this scenario, nothing more than a gold digger. I have, in the course of this judgment, given reason why I do not accept this characterization of Miss Heard, right? Because I disregarded all the evidence that she was lying, disregarded all the people who said that she was lying, disregarded all the seats that they bought, disregarded the fact that she was convicted of lying, and I just believe Miss Heard. That's essentially what he's saying here, right? Looking at the evidence as a whole. This is the funniest part of this, right? Looking at the evidence as a whole. He's not doing that at all. I come to the same conclusion. There is a multiplicity of emails, texts, messages, and diary entries in the papers before me. I have quoted some, but by no means all, are from Miss Heard. I recognize, of course, that the previous statements by her are not independent evidence of the truth of the allegations, yet they are not, on the other hand, inadmissible or irrelevant for that reason. There are also, as I have shown, sometimes statements from third parties which do corroborate. But the key point here I want to make it very clear is if you listen to the way he's writing this, he's only accepting evidence that corroborates her. And any evidence that shows emails, receipts, whatever, even her own statements that bring into doubt any of her credibility, he's disregarding it. So essentially he's saying, I'm just accepting everything she says. Anything that corroborates what she's saying, I'm bolstering her credibility. Anything that goes against it, I'm disregarding as irrelevant. That's what this judge did. He didn't weigh it. He just said, I'm disregarding it. I had evidence as to what Miss Heard had received as a result of the divorce settlement. I have explained that there was no expert to compare those figures with what she would otherwise have been entitled to recover under Californian divorce law. The principal amount of the settlement payment to her by Mr. Depp of US $7 million. Miss Heard's evidence that she had given the sum away to charity was not challenged on behalf of Mr. Depp. And a joint statement issued by Mr. Depp and Miss Heard as part of the this thing is covering it. As part of the deal point memorandum. Sorry, guys, there's a thing covering it up here for me. Acknowledge that this. Let me read it from here. Let me get it from the other thing. Sorry, this thing on my end is not letting me see it. The bottom part of it. All right, so here it is. Sorry. Just finding my place again. Okay, so I was not challenged on behalf of Mr. Depp, and the joint statement issued by Mr. Depp and Miss Heard as part of the deal point memorandum acknowledged that this was her intention. I recognize that there were other elements to the divorce settlement as well, but here is the key point. But her donation of the $7 million to charity is hardly the act one would expect of a gold digger. And then he believed everything she had to say after that. So essentially, what this judge said is, I'm disregarding all the negative evidence against Miss Heard, right? Everything that says that she's a liar, that's contrary, all the evidence, everything, witnesses, whatever. I'm disregarding all of that. And on top of that, to show that she's a great witness and not a gold digger and they're lying about her, she gave all the money to charity. And that's why I'm making my ruling in favor of Miss Heard. She can't be a gold digger. She gave all the money away. That is the UK judgment. That is what this judge, that is how this judge came to that. Right? That is how this judge came to this reasoning. Crazy. So, when they keep saying it was the UK trial was the greatest, we won the UK trial. Now you see why. You had an extremely friendly judge, and I'm saying this judge was the man. This judge was extremely friendly. Then he goes on, dismisses everything that makes Miss Heard look bad, feel bad, anything anti-Miss Heard, he doesn't care. Dismiss it. So what? Who cares? But everything that corroborates it, we're gonna take that seriously. And then says, based on and the fact that she's a gold digger, she's not. She gave away the money. She gave away every penny. I believe her. And no one ever checked to see if she did. And she essentially lied to the court, lied to the judge. And now they're saying, because she lied to the judge, lied to the court, got over one, she should be believed. And that case is the one we should trust. That's where we're at, people. I know. Insane. Let me take out these super chats real quick. Hold on. Let me see where I left off at. Got that one. I heard the judge. Yep, we got that one. This one. Here we go. Did she donate the money to the judge? Peter, you're funny. Yeah. I don't know. This has got to get that. It's looking a little fishy. It's looking a little fishy. Tried by a mere gallery of peasants. I shall emerge triumphant, and the plebes shall tremble before me with every dollar of my ex-husband's being. This I do pledge. Amber attorney, that's good. Thanks for the $20. That was funny. I'm not your buddy guy says, the more I learn and see, the more disappointed I am in my Canadian judicial system, which is just an offshoot of the UK system. Oh, I'm sorry. And this is Patty Grimes says she didn't give the money away. No, she did. She didn't give a dime of that away. She took it all, and then claimed she gave it away, and the judge ate it hook, line, and sinker. Think about this: the judge, nobody, but also to be fair, I'm going to blame Johnny's team for that because you got to check, but you can't check if the simple thing about it is that generally you would check to see if she gave that money away, but since she was a witness and not a defendant in a lawsuit, you couldn't get that information. So it allowed her to essentially lie to the court. And we see now the court depended on that lie to make its judgment. Just imagine but my question to you before I get out of here, do you guys think if the UK court knew that she lied about giving that money away and she kept that money, do you think he would have came out the same way? I think he would have. Personally, I think he would. I think he would have found some way to rationalize it. Well, she really wanted to give the money away, and that was her intention. So we're gonna disregard that too, right? But since he believes she gave the money away, he could spin it the way he wanted to. Oh, well, she gave the money away, so she's obviously telling the truth. It shows you how dangerous this thing is, right? It's how dangerous it is, and I don't want to call this judge corrupt, but obviously there's something wrong. Secret Squirrel's got the petition to open up the UK case. It's obvious that if the judge takes I honestly don't understand why this judge was so in the tank for Amber. It doesn't make any sense. Did he know her? There's got to be something here, because there's no way you disregard all this evidence of her lies. And at first I was like, man, maybe he didn't know, right? But he knew. He wrote it down, and he went through painstaking details to disregard it, to pretend that it didn't exist. And that's still giving these people, right? They're still giving Amber and her team this cover to say, well, I had a judge look at all this evidence and say that I was credible. I think if any other rational person, even a jury, would have looked at that evidence and said she's not credible at all. At all. She's lying on multiple continents. However, despite my disappointment in these legal systems, we cannot fix what we don't know. Sunlight truly is the best disinfectant. Thank you, sir. Oh, thank you so much. I think this is why, it's great to have the trials publicized like this, because when you see it, you can't deny it. And that's the problem now. We saw it, right? We saw it, and now you can't deny it. Amber was close friends with the UK judge, right? Something's got to be there, right? Because you saw it yourself, right? You saw it right from the opinion. He went painstakingly so to find her credible, right? If that was me or you, we would be done. Just imagine I go into court and you got emails from me trying to get witnesses to lie. You got me pleading guilty to lying to courts around the country. You got me not giving the money to charity, but lying and saying I did. You got all these lies, right? All this evidence, everything, right? And on top of it, you got me on tape saying I beat the person up. And then come to court and say I didn't beat the person up. And say, I'm going to believe what you're saying now under oath, and not going to believe what you said on the tapes. Yeah, right? With all that evidence. And then have the nerve to say, I looked at everything and put it in perspective. What? Not what? I see why she likes the UK. Unrelated. Can you look into NYC bodega clerk Joe Alaba? They unfairly charged murder, clearly self-defense. Would like to hear your take as an NY lawyer. I'll check it out. What is it? Jose Alaba. I'll check it out. Jose Alaba. All right. I'll definitely do a quick look up at that. I do not think the judge finding proof that she didn't donate the money would have made a difference. Judge seemed bizarrely immune to evidence. Right? Yeah, I do. I didn't care. The judge didn't care about the evidence. That's sick, right? The judge didn't care about. Oh, I did forget to bring up the DV arrest. This judge mentioned the DV arrest. What do you guys think this judge said about the domestic violence arrest? Do you guys want to hear what this judge knew about the domestic violence arrest? Do you want to hear what the judge said about the domestic violence arrest? The fact that this woman has a history of domestic violence? Let me bring it up. Let me show you what this judge said about domestic violence arrest. This is crazy. This judge, again, he loved Amber. I'm just pulling it up, and it's again. Give me some time, people. It is a 129-page opinion. I am almost there. All right, I just want to pull up the good point we have for all this. So here is. This is what the judge says. He says it is essentially irrelevant. Yes, the judge says about that arrest is essentially irrelevant. Let me pull this up for you guys to see. So when it comes to the arrest, right? Now, for those of you who don't know, Amber Heard was arrested. I had further information about the circumstances on October 26th. The King County prosecuting in Washington State. Let me make sure I put this on screen. Yes. So the judge goes into it. So they bench it, right? Prosecutor thanked the office, blah, 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 right? In order to convict, he goes into what they needed to convict. But she wasn't convicted. She was just arrested. And nevertheless, this arrest, Ms. Heard referred to in the press shortly after filed from divorce, Mr. Depp. Here it is. No conviction take place. In my view, all that can be said about the domestic violence arrest where she beat her ex-wife up in an airport in front of the cops. So mind you, in an airport in front of cops, she beat up her ex-wife. She was arrested on the spot, spent the night in jail, and pleaded no contest and was sent home. So this is what this judge's view of this prior domestic violence arrest, right? This is how he got around it. Let me read this to you. 1, no conviction of Ms. Heard took place in the consequence, so she wasn't convicted. It seems that Ms. Heard took lawful and proper steps to delete the record from her record of her arrest records. She went and said, please delete this arrest record. I don't want people to find it. Notwithstanding the allegations, Ms. Van Ree remained supportive of Ms. Heard, as most domestic abuse victims do, right? If most survivors of domestic abuse stay loyal to their partners, especially after abuse, right? Oh, I don't want the person to go to jail. Oh, this, oh, that, right? That's essentially what happens. And that's what happened here. You know, her partner, oops, let me make sure I grab all these. Her partner stayed true to her and said, hey, you know, I don't want her to go to jail, right? She's out the next day. I just want her to stop beating me at the moment, right? She's beating me in an airport, right? But he says, she says it's okay, right? And in the consequence of this incident has little bearing on the issues I have to decide. So think about this. The fact that this judge, and I think you guys really need to understand this, this judge is trying to determine in a relationship who's the abuser. On Amber Heard's side, he has her saying, I'm the abuser. I punch you. I beat you up. You keep trying to run away when I try to beat you up, but you run away, and that's a noble thing to do, but I don't want you to run away, right? I start the fights. Disregard. Then on top of that, she says, go tell the judge, go tell the world, Johnny. Who's going to believe you were abused? Disregard that. She's lying under oath. Disregard that. She's lying about the employees, right? But then you get the paychecks. Disregard that. Disregard everything, right? She's donating $7 million, which she really didn't donate. Who cares? And then the only evidence, you have nothing that Johnny was ever arrested in domestic violence, but you have this, an arrest where she beat up her ex-wife in an airport in front of people. Disregard it. Who cares? It's not relevant to a domestic violence case in front of me. And this is what this judge thinks is justice. Let me know, people. Let me know how you feel. This judge, and remember, the American court, the American jury didn't even hear about the DV arrest. They did not hear the fact that she was arrested. They did not hear the fact that she was arrested for domestic violence of her ex-partner. They didn't hear that. This judge knew that happened and said, I do not care, right? Because I believe Amber Heard. That's what we got, people. Listen, if you are new, so let me get this last couple of super chats before I get out of here. So I have proving justice is blind, especially to evidence against Amber. Ghost Recon. She donated the money to the Amber Heard self-fund. Oh yeah, justice is blind, except when it comes to Amber Heard. But again, so next time somebody tells you, hey, listen, she won the UK case, But next time you hear that, oh, here's the Amber bots. Dislike and unsubscribe. You got to change the thing. You look it looks a little different now. Come on, Amber bots. You got to you guys coming in late to the game. I'm about to get out of here. All right, listen, people. Thanks again for coming on. Thanks again for watching this. Now you guys see why this case in the UK, the jury heard the same evidence as the judge in the UK, seems like very similar. And the judge in the UK said, I believe Amber Heard, even though she's doing all these lies. And in the US, they said, we don't believe it. We believe the evidence. So the judge believed Amber and the jury believed the evidence. That's essentially what you got here. If you like what I do and you like what I just said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. Helps the channel grow. I really, really appreciate everybody being here. And my name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you next time. Thanks again for all the support.